A true classic never goes out of style.
Well, the one thing I love, like, seeing the film is the aspect of where it's set, because it obviously has resonance for you with Cuckoo's Nest. But the fact that you get to play it, probably having seen your dad do it, could you talk about that and sort of the irony of setting Cult of Chucky inside an asylum?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was something that was, the irony was discussed from the concept of the movie, and we tried to pay homage to it, but not like belabor the point for too much. And you had a Cuckoo's Nest line, I think, right? That you didn't want to do.
Did I do it?
You did it.
Oh, well, I'm a good boy. I do like I'm told.
I think the line is Cuckoo's Nest.
Ah.
I mean, like, literally.
Yeah,
so,
literally.
Yeah.
I mean, the great thing, but doing what you had to do with this film, you really had to get into sort of the physical element, and which you did in the last one, but even more so here, because you're so confined. Could you talk about inhabiting her in that way, specifically here?
I think you mean specifically with the wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
So when this is the second time I've played a paraplegic, and there is the wheelchair does most of the work for you. So it's not. When I first was cast, I wheeled around a mall. I got a wheelchair, and I went around a mall and also visited a hospital for people who are paraplegic and spent the day with them. I think it's an incredibly difficult life. The confines of it were striking for me, and how much I felt like I was looked at by the general public and not looked at also. So I spent a little bit of time thinking about that, and then the rest of it, the chair just does it for you.
I mean, the psychology, obviously, in a horror movie, especially with, your dad's voice coming out.
I know, it's really weird.
It's probably really weird. But can you talk about the psychological, and then I'll talk to you about sort of playing into that. So.
Yeah. I was initially a little worried that that hearing my dad's voice was going to take me out of the scene. It was going to make it feel a little bit less real, even though it is like a walking, talking, supernatural doll. but having my dad's voice on top of it, I thought that it might make it more difficult. But it was actually scarier and creepy and unnerving and surreal in a way that was only helpful in a horror movie.
I was 6. My babysitter was murdered.
And they never caught him?
Justice was done.
Wanna play?
Mika, the murders were real.
Chucky never was.
That's right. He was a fantasy, a delusion.
Are you feeling better now?
I don't blame you for being afraid. I was very ill.
Chucky told me. He's coming for you.
It's important that we all explore it together as a group. I think I have something that will help.
Whoa!
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Now, can you talk about the voice of Chucky from your perception? Is it just getting into that growl, getting into that sort of core of it, or where does that come from?
The voice?
Yes.
Well, originally the voice was Chicago. So that was where the rasp came from, because in Chicago there's a tendency for a rasp. And then as Don Mancini began to get, he slowly gained in power as we went from movie to movie. He had no power in the first one at all, so I was from Chicago. And then slowly I moved toward New Jersey, inch by inch across the country to New Jersey. And now I'm in New Jersey. Chucky is from New Jersey. The voice, voices really come from meaning, and the meaning has always been the same. the roots of Chucky are he's terrified of oblivion. That's his driving force. He is loves his job, and he will turn a living human being into a piece of meat. So he's a monster, and has to be a monster.
But do you think of him as a monster?
Oh, he's absolutely a monster. Yeah, he's the job. I mean, horror is based on the idea that there is this entity who will kill you, with whom you cannot negotiate. I think it comes from a deep-seated kind of thing inside of us that we feel terrified of being prey. And that's the whole fun of horror, is playing with that thing we live with all the time. And Chucky has to be that.
But when you play him, you don't think of him as a monster, right? Because people don't think of themselves as monsters.
Oh, when I play him, then it's play, and then it's I love my job.
Yeah.
Also, there's this whole thing about event, and the beginnings of horror and were really the Vincent Price movies, the Poe movies, those original things. And then there was this movie called Dr. Phibe. And suddenly there was this camp aspect to horror. Yeah. And that is that's the kind of era that Child's Play came out of. And Chucky's a part of that. So, asking about, you play somebody who's a sexual predator. Well, that doesn't work for, and that's who Charles Lee Ray was. But that doesn't really work for horror in that thing, because it's too specific and too creepy and too, so, you kind of like quickly tip your hat to that, and then make Chucky more fun in terms of deciding different fun ways of committing murder and enjoying the reaction that people have.
I think the reason, one of the reasons why he's so iconic is the amount of joy he takes in the whole thing. I mean, it's just, I feel from your performance, it's really fun.
Just like the good old days. Long time no see. Learn from the master. Yes! A true classic never goes out of style.
The last question I have to ask you is the aspect of, because the thing is tonally, you have to make it work too, because the voice is coming, then you have to hit from the other side, and not giving anything away, you have to do it at the end too, and shift. Can you talk about approaching that a little bit,
Yeah, I think that I got to watch my audition tape after I was hired, which very rarely happens, and I saw why I was hired, sort of, in that I just really, really, really tried to ground it. I tried to just play it as real and as terrified as I could, and that kind of against something as supernatural and kind of silly as like a walking, talking, iconic doll is the reason why, part of it works, I think. You just play it like it's happening. Yeah.
say one other thing about working, with Fiona came when I was doing my first, so we worked together a little bit.
When you were doing your first ADR for Chucky 1.
For Chucky, you mean that story?
There's that story, but you can tell the story.
No, I mean for this last one, you came when I was doing the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we had moments where we worked together, but since Fiona started acting, which she was determined not to do, we read together for auditions, and we still do all the time. So we're kind of used to acting together.
So a large part of your life as an actor is you put yourself on tape, and then the tapes are sent to producers, and either you're hired or not, and 99.9% of the time you're not hired. But me and my dad have been putting ourselves on tape for both his tapes and my tapes for 10 years or something.
Yeah.
And so it's fun. It's
I know
really
how to
fun.
work with
Yeah, we know how to
Fiona.
work with each other. We need to be in a movie together.
Yeah, it would be. We could. Yeah, acting with her is like.
It's weird
and she doesn't become my daughter at a certain point.
Yeah.
She's.
It can be unexpected.
Are you afraid of the truth?
Terrified. You should be too.
Night night. And they call me sick?
Wait a minute, there's 2 of them?
He'll kill us all!
A true classic never goes out of style.